Hello everyone, my name is Leon, and you're going to watch me go from $0 to $10,000 a month on Amazon KDP. If you don't outline your book properly, your ghostwriter is going to fill it up with useless content, and in the end, you won't make any money. Not only that, you'll have a really painful time doing quality control. I know, I've been there. So today I'm going to show you how to outline books for your ghostwriter. In fact, I'm going to outline a book right in front of you so you know the exact process. Let's start. On the menu for today, you will learn what both you and the writer need to be on the same page on if you want a successful book. Then I'm going to show you what I do and what you should do before researching about what should be in your book in order to make your book unique. Then, I'm going to show you how to find proven content ideas for your book, and finally, we're going to put it in an outline together. I'll even introduce to you some free tools and tips to help you on your publishing journey. So if you're like me and you want to build an online publishing empire, hit the subscribe button below if you want to see exactly how it's done in real time. So assuming you have a book idea, the first thing you need to figure out is who the book is for, who is reading it. And it starts with what the readers want from reading the book. And let me show you why this matters. Let's pretend you have a book about passive income. On the surface, it's a book about making more money, which everybody wants, right? But you can also angle it to save time and effort by saying to the reader that, hey, once you have an asset set up and running, the money just flows in. You can angle it another way. How about helping the reader move away from pain? You can do so by saying that, hey, passive income will allow you to fire your boss or spend more time with your family. So by knowing what your customer wants, you can appeal to multiple desires they may have within one book. The second thing you need to ask is, what words do they use? A great example is US versus UK English. It will determine whether you use cookie or biscuit, trunk or boot, or attorney versus solicitor. Regardless, your writer needs to understand what audience they are writing for. And generally, it's the US or the UK audience, the US being a bigger market. Next, the third thing you need to understand is customer demographics. If you had a book on marketing targeted towards men, you might use a Seth Godin example. However, if the book targeted women, you could probably use a Marie Forleo example to illustrate the same thing. The same thing applies to age, right? If you had a book on finance for a younger crowd, you might use a Robert Kiyosaki example. But if your book was on retirement finance, you might want to use a Templeton example. Because a book can be written in so many different ways, knowing who you're writing for will help you and the ghostwriter narrow down the benefit statements, vocabulary, stories, and evidence you use in the book. It would be downright dumb to tell your writer to save up money for starting a family if your book was on estate planning. Other factors you should consider include the tone of the writing, the beliefs of the reader, their income level, and who their influencers are. So I'm going to go ahead and create my reader avatar now.
The following day.
So here's my reader avatar, and you can be as detailed as you want. I've decided to create a book for first-time homebuyers. My avatar is going to be a male based in the United States, between the ages of 25 to 34. He's financially stable, so he has a little bit of money saved up, and he's just looking for that first property to buy. And because he's within that age range, he's also wanting to start a family or to start building a family. That's his number one priority. And his second priority for buying this book is that he's looking for a suitable investment. He wants to make money on his purchases. He has no experience with buying or evaluating real estate. And his influencers in this area include Bigger Pockets, Robert Kiyosaki, as well as Graham Stephan from YouTube. So because he's just looking for practical advice, the tone of this book, I want to be concise and to the point as well as practical. So we're going to hold back on the motivational side of things and keep the book practical. So now that you have a reader avatar together, you want to use your understanding of that avatar to make a mind map about everything that could be useful to your reader. What are the questions they would have? What problems would they need to solve? What are the steps they need to take? And what important things do they have to consider? You need to write it all down and then organize the topics around the same theme together. For example, mortgage size and the cost of maintaining our home are both about money. And so I would put the two things in the same section on the mind map. And this process usually takes the longest, so you're gonna watch me do it in 30x speed. So after you put down everything you can think of, it's time to start comparing what you have to best-selling competitor books. All you have to do is find books that are selling well on your exact topic and look at their table of contents and reviews. This will give you a good idea of what their books are about, and doing so will allow you to find the really good things that the best-selling books are doing, and obviously you want to do those things too. The second thing you want to look at is 3-star reviews. And these reviews will give you an understanding of what's missing from these best-selling books. I don't usually look at 4 and 5 stars reviews because they're usually just compliments, and on the other end, 1-star reviews are usually emotionally driven and not very helpful. So I look at 3-star reviews. As you look at these reviews, you want to make changes to your mind map to include the new sections that you didn't think of, consolidate similar sections, as well as remove sections that aren't too relevant. Same thing as you check out competitors' table of contents. You also want to start ordering the different sections into chapters, and by the end, you should have all your chapters mapped out with what you want in each chapter. You can then download the mind map as an outline, and I usually forward this file to the ghostwriter so they know exactly what I want. So now you're going to see me do the said competitor research and organize my mind map into book chapters. Alright, so after a lot of organizing, here are all my chapters. My introduction is going to be about real estate versus stocks. I'm going to introduce the reader to what real estate is, compare that to stocks. And then my chapter 1 is going to be about the types of real estate as well as the pros and cons of each type of real estate. Chapter 2 is going to go into everything about the money, so mortgages, down payments, interest rates, etc. Chapter 3 is all going to be about people, so finding a realtor, an attorney, an accountant, a broker, so on and so forth. And so chapter 4 is going to be about getting the actual property. How do you pick a neighborhood? How do you evaluate a property? How do you close the deal? Chapter 5 is about, well, what happens after the sale? Like, what happens after you buy a property? How do you maintain it? What things should you be careful of? And then chapter 6, I always like to include a tools and resources page with a short description for each tool and each resource, just to make the book super practical for a reader. And we're going to finish off with a conclusion that kind of summarizes everything and gives the reader a call to action, as well as if I have any affiliate products I want to promote, I'm going to put it in there as well. All right, so you have your customer avatar, you have your chapters and your outline. I like to put everything in the same document. I'm going to call this document an outline. And so the link to this outline template is going to be in the description. Just go ahead and download it free of charge. It's what I use. And so once you download the outline template, there's a place for you to fill in the customer avatar, which you already created from step 1. So you can either fill it in or you can attach it as a file for your writer. The second thing you want to do is fill in your key takeaways and objectives. So what are the few key takeaways that would be the most valuable to the reader if they read your book? And what can you promise them to learn? How can you consolidate everything in your outline that you've written on your mind map into a few benefit statements? And this will help your writer focus when they're writing. And this will also help you write your description when you finally upload the book to Amazon or Draft to Digital. Also, from your research, you should have competitor links that you should be sharing with your writer so they can do their own research and understand the structure of a top-selling book in the niche. I also like to give the reader a hook for each chapter, but only if I think the hook is good. Otherwise, I'm just going to be like, hey, writer, you create a hook for each chapter. And it can be either a quote, it can be a story, a statistic, a question. But the essence of the hook is you want to open a psychological loop that will only be closed if the reader finishes reading the chapter. You want to introduce some kind of problem. And only some good writers will know how to do this in their writing. And a good hook or problem statement really holds the chapter together. And lastly, I like to provide some word counts because in the research phase, you get a pretty good idea of how much needs to get written to get the point across. Typically, if a section will take a lot of words to complete, your outline for that chapter will be longer as well. And so you're going to watch me do all of this right now. So in the end, here are the 3 things that my book promises. I want to promise that the reader will know how to evaluate their own readiness for home ownership, whether it's psychologically, with their family, or financially. I want the reader to know how to evaluate a neighborhood as well as a home's value. Okay, and the third thing I want the reader to know is the exact steps on buying and maintaining a home, who and what is involved. You can see that this pretty much covers the whole process from start to finish of a first-time home buyer. I've also taken the time to change the names of my chapters to something that generates curiosity and doesn't give the book away to the reader or competitors when they look at the table of contents. So the introduction is now why home ownership might not be for you. Chapter 1, really understanding property will change you. Chapter 2, why you might not be financially ready. Chapter 3, how to not get scammed by others. Chapter 4, how to 10x your return on investment. Chapter 5, what most people don't tell you after you pay. And Chapter 6, tools and resources that make property ownership easier. Finally, conclusion, you own it. Now what? And so you can kind of tell what the chapter is about, but it generates curiosity. Like, you want to know why something will change you. You want to know the reason. You want to know how to do something. You want to get the benefit from learning how to do it. And so This is kind of like a lesson in copywriting, and if you're interested, I can make another video on copywriting. Just leave a comment below if you want me to do that. So there we have it, an outline from start to finish. The last thing I want to do is to give you some tools and resources that will make your publishing life easier. Number one, Ubersuggest, super good keyword research tool for Google that will give you 3 free searches a day if you're looking for keyword ideas. You can just do the search on Ubersuggest and then type the same keyword into Amazon, right? And then all the keyword ideas that Ubersuggest gives you, you can type it into Amazon and you can get some great ideas for books or chapter titles. Another great one is Answer the Public. You can search a keyword on the website and it will show you the questions that people have been asking about that keyword. These questions can turn into section titles as well as chapters for your book. So I've tried my best to show you a foolproof way of creating an outline for your ghostwriter. But I want to emphasize that if you're able to get a good ghostwriter, they do the research themselves. And so all you should have to do is ask the right questions and include those questions in the outline. But if you're working with the writer that you have never worked with before, it's always better to give more detail. Personally though, I actually rather pay more for a great writer that can do good research because it actually saves a ton of time on my end. When you're creating 2 or 3 books a month, that's super important. Now, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will try my best to get back to you. Other than that, if you found this video interesting, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because in the next video, we're gonna go over exactly how we can write a good SEO optimized title and subtitle for your book.